The WNBA faced some early controversy just 90 seconds into the first playoff game of 2024 when the Indiana Fever took on the Connecticut Sun in their best-of-3 series. Things escalated quickly when Caitlin Clark, the unanimous Rookie of the Year, ended up with a black eye. The incident happened when Connecticut guard DiJonai Carrington appeared to accidentally poke Clark in the eye. Despite Clark clearly being in pain and falling to the ground, no foul was called, which sparked an outcry from fans on social media. Many accused Carrington of foul play, claiming the move was intentional. Even Barstool Sports founder Dave Portnoy weighed in, tweeting, "Why does the WNBA let players wear gigantic nails if they use them as weapons? We're lucky Caitlin didn't lose an eye. No foul call, and she had to play with one eye the rest of the game." Clark, despite the injury, continued playing, but had one of her toughest games since joining the WNBA. She shot just 3.5%, going 4 for 17 from the field, including 2 for 11 from beyond the arc. The Fever, unable to rally behind their star, suffered a tough 93-69 loss to Connecticut, putting them on the verge of elimination. Kelsey Mitchell's 21 points and Aaliyah Boston's 11 rebounds were among the few highlights for Indiana. On the other side, Connecticut was led by Marina Mabrey's 27 points and Alyssa Thomas's 15th career triple-double as they controlled the game from start to finish. Despite the rough game, Clark didn't blame her eye injury for the performance. After briefly sitting on the bench following the poke, she decided to push through the pain and played 36 minutes, contributing 8 assists. However, her shooting struggles were hard to ignore. In the post-game press conference, Clark refused to place blame on Carrington, taking full responsibility for the missed shots and acknowledging her difficult game. Her determination to keep playing says a lot about her resilience, but fans are still left wondering if the eye injury played a bigger role in her off night. It remains to be seen if Clark and the Fever can bounce back and avoid an early playoff exit. Today, we've got some serious drama to break down. The situation between Caitlin Clark and a Connecticut Sun fan has been leaked, and now Teresa Weatherspoon is the latest coach to lose her job. Let's dive in. First up, let's talk about Caitlin Clark and what went down at the Connecticut Sun game. Even though the Fever season is over and Clark's off the court, the drama isn't cooling down. A lot of WNBA veterans and players are blaming Caitlin Clark's fan base for all the hate that's been going around. But come on, can we really put all of this on Clark's fans? Did you see what happened at the Sun game? It wasn't just a random fan. This guy had media credentials and was harassing Clark from the front row. The whole incident got leaked online, and now we've got more details to unpack. Clark ended up calling out the fan to security after he apparently crossed a line. Fans at the game said the guy didn't just insult her, he allegedly wished she'd fall and break her neck. Then, he went back to his seat and bragged about it to other Sun fans. More people who were there have come forward, saying they overheard some of his comments, and it sounds pretty bad. This situation has sparked a lot of debate online, and there are even rumors that the guy had media access. So far, the WNBA hasn't made a statement, but it's definitely a mess. WNBA commentator Stephen A. Smith called out the racist fan and showed his support for Clark. On the flip side, players like Angel Reese and Brittany Griner have also shared their thoughts. Angel mentioned she's been dealing with harassment from Clark's fans for the past 2 years. Griner, on the other hand, is pushing for the league to take faster action when it comes to toxic fan behavior. Speaking of Angel Reese, let's shift gears. Last night, news dropped that her coach, Teresa Weatherspoon, was fired from the Chicago Sky, and Angel's heartbroken. She tweeted about how much Weatherspoon meant to her, saying she was the only one who believed in her and supported her through a tough time in her life. What do you guys think about all this? What's happening in the WNBA right now is absolutely wild. Sophie Cunningham, who plays with Diana Taurasi on the Phoenix Mercury, recently made some eye-popping comments about Caitlin Clark that are leaving people stunned. And believe it or not, that's just scratching the surface. Caitlin Clark isn't just putting up numbers on the court, she's changing the game itself. She's been smashing records, pulling off impossible plays, and shaking up the Indiana Fever in ways no one saw coming. And get this, some of the seasoned veterans are starting to feel a bit envious. Yep, the rookie is making waves so big that it's ruffling the feathers of some long-standing stars. But hold on, let's take a closer look at what Cunningham said that's got everyone buzzing. In a recent interview, she dropped some serious thoughts on Caitlin Clark.
But I think they've done a great job in the league as well. I think the physicality and all that they're going to get used to, but I think especially Caitlin Clark, she's been killing it. And I'm a huge fan, and I never say that, but I think it's fun what she's doing.
Can you believe what this means? A veteran player who shares the court with the iconic Diana Taurasi is giving major props to a rookie. That's not something you see every day in the WNBA, but Sophie didn't stop there. She had more to say.
When it comes to viewership, man, I think a lot of people have a lot to learn about our league, but I think that's a really fun thing. And if you have really anything negative to say about all the viewership and everything that this rookie class is doing, I just think that you're not capitalizing on it and you might be a little jealous. So
Sophie just dropped a truth bomb on anyone throwing shade at Caitlin Clark's success and the other rookies in the league. She's basically saying that if you're not on board with how the WNBA is growing, then the issue might be with you. But why is Sophie, an established player, going all out to defend Clark and the rookies? Simple. It's all about the impact. Clark isn't just playing great basketball. She's completely changing how people view the WNBA. Since she stepped into the league, viewership has exploded. Games that used to have empty seats are now packed. People aren't just watching Indiana Fever games, they're buying tickets, jerseys, and buzzing about the WNBA on social media like never before. And here's the kicker. Clark is pulling all this off as a rookie. She didn't need years to adjust or build a fan base. She came in and started dominating right away. That's why Sophie and other savvy players are seeing that Clark's success is tied to the success of the league itself. In just the last 5 games, Clark's been on fire, averaging 22.6 points, 8.4 assists, and 4.8 rebounds. But that's not all. She's shooting 48.1% from the field and an impressive 44.4% from beyond the arc. These aren't just good numbers for a rookie, they're elite, even for seasoned pros. And what's most incredible is that she's not just stacking up stats for herself, she's lifting the entire team. With Clark on the court, the Fever have gone from barely scraping by to becoming serious title contenders. Oh, and that record for most points generated in a WNBA season? Clark is on track to break it. She's already ranked among the top 3 rookies of all time for total points, and the season's not even over. But it's not just about scoring. Clark is redefining what it means to be a point guard in this league. Her assists aren't just routine passes, they're jaw-dropping plays. She's seeing and creating opportunities that leave even the commentators speechless. And here's the wild part. She's doing all of this against defenses that are built specifically to shut her down. Entire teams are shifting their strategies just to contain Caitlin Clark, but she's still out there dominating. That's why veterans like Sophie Cunningham are so impressed. Clark isn't just excelling. She's changing the entire game. She's pushing teams and players to evolve. And in doing so, she's raising the level of competition across the WNBA. Let's dive into something Cunningham brought up that's been stirring the pot in the league: the jealousy and criticism aimed at Caitlin Clark. Sounds crazy, right? A rookie making such a huge impact that it's got veterans feeling envious. But that's exactly what's happening. Some players, and even some fans, are complaining about all the attention Clark's getting, saying it's overhyped or that she's stealing the spotlight from more experienced players. But let's be real, this is just plain jealousy. As Sophie Cunningham wisely pointed out, those who are grumbling about the attention Clark is bringing to the league are missing out on the bigger picture and maybe feeling a bit envious. She's absolutely right. Clark's success doesn't take away from any other player's value. In fact, the more attention the WNBA gets, the better it is for everyone. More fans mean more revenue, which can lead to higher salaries, better conditions, and more opportunities for all players. Clark is literally expanding the league's market. She's attracting new fans, people who might never have watched a WNBA game before. And once they're hooked, they're not just watching Clark, they're getting introduced to all the incredible talent the league has to offer. That's why smart players like Cunningham are embracing the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. They understand that when one player shines, it benefits the whole league. Clark's success is lifting the WNBA to new heights, and that's good for everyone. The Indiana Fever delivered an unforgettable game. Picture this: Caitlin Clark, the rookie who's been making waves in the league, played all 45 minutes of a game that went into overtime. Yep, 45 minutes straight. And that's just the start. Clark didn't just lead the Fever to a tough 104-100 win over the Atlanta Dream. She also became the fastest player in WNBA history to hit 300 career assists. But that's not all. Her teammate, Aaliyah Boston, had the best game of her career on the very same night. The first quarter was electric, with the Fever and Dream trading baskets right from the jump. Clark showed she was locked in early, sinking a three-pointer within the first few minutes.
Boston gets it back to Clark, sidesteps Howard, she will launch and knock down a three.
The Atlanta Dream wasn't backing down, with Rhyne Howard answering back with her own sharp shooting. By the end of the first quarter, the Fever had a narrow 22-21 lead, setting the stage for a closely contested game. In the second quarter, things heated up even more. The Dream, led by Howard and Alicia Gray, pulled ahead by 6 points. But the Fever weren't going down easily. Lexi Hull stepped up, sinking 2 clutch three-pointers to keep them in the fight. Despite their efforts, the Dream managed to take control, going into halftime with a 48-44 lead. If you thought it was intense by then, the third quarter kicked things up a notch. The Dream extended their lead to 16 points, and it seemed like the Fever were losing their grip. But this is where Caitlin Clark and her squad worked their magic. Clark started finding her rhythm, making pinpoint assists and draining crucial shots. Meanwhile, Aaliyah Boston dominated the boards, grabbing key rebounds and converting them into points. By the end of the third quarter, the Fever had cut the lead to just 3 points, with the score at 69-66 in favor of the Dream. The fourth quarter was one of the most thrilling moments of the season. It was a battle between two determined teams. Clark continued to lead the Fever's offense with precision, while Boston was unstoppable around the basket. The game was tied multiple times in the closing minutes. With 18 seconds left, Boston hit a huge shot to tie the game at 90, sending it into overtime. Overtime was pure intensity. Clark and Boston kept up their dominance, but the Dream fought back hard. It was a back-and-forth exchange of baskets right up until the final seconds. In the end, Clark's composure at the free throw line sealed the Fever's 104-100 victory. This game showed just how much the Indiana team is growing, and with the playoffs on the horizon, they're showing some promising signs. What can we even say about Clark that hasn't been said already? Well, here's one for you. She played all 45 minutes of the game. Unreal, right? But the numbers back it up. Clark wrapped up the night with 26 points, 12 assists, and 5 rebounds. That's not just a double-double, it's complete court control. And the biggest highlight? She became the fastest player in WNBA history to hit 300 career assists. We're talking about a rookie shattering records that seemed untouchable. Her court vision is something else. If Clark was the conductor, Aaliyah Boston was the unstoppable force. Boston had the game of her career, dropping 30 points and grabbing 13 rebounds. Another double-double, but more than that, it was pure dominance. She was a force in the paint, turning Clark's assists into easy buckets and creating second chances with her offensive rebounding. Boston was incredibly efficient, hitting 11 out of 16 shots. And let's not forget Kelsey Mitchell. While Clark and Boston were stealing the show, Mitchell quietly had a standout game herself, with 21 points and a solid 50% shooting. She was the quiet but critical third piece of the puzzle, delivering when the Fever needed it most. Mitchell showed why she's one of the top shooters in the league, sinking clutch shots to help seal the victory. The trio of Clark running the show, Boston owning the paint, and Mitchell hitting from the outside is a combination that could take the Fever deep into the playoffs. And speaking of playoffs, with performances like this, the Fever are proving they're not just here to make up the numbers, they're here to compete for a title. A key moment in the game came in the third quarter when the Dream opened up a 16-point lead. That could have been the moment many teams threw in the towel, but not the Fever, and definitely not Clark. She kicked off a series of plays that completely turned the game around. She drained a three-pointer and followed it up with 2 quick assists to Boston. Just like that, the 16-point gap started to shrink. This was where Clark's championship mentality really showed. She didn't just rack up points, she elevated the play of her whole team. This game summed up the Fever season. Flashes of brilliance, some adversity, and overcoming challenges. But most of all, It showcased the heart and determination of this young squad, led by Clark and Boston.